What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, hold up, my glasses are a little foggy. Sorry. Okay, so today's video, we basically took two videos and shoved them together into one video. So I was working on a Lions news where we're talking about the roster moves that they made, the quote from Barry Sanders, Darrell Bevell, and Matthew Stafford's health. But then we got the news that the Lions were going to interview Louis Riddick. So I made a video on that. And I was like, you know what? Let's just give them a long one. Let's put some timestamps. They'll be in the description or the comment section, probably in the description. Click on those timestamps if you want to skip around, you don't want to watch the whole thing. But first, we're going to go through the Lions roster moves, the news, everything like that. And then we'll discuss Louis Riddick, who the Detroit Lions are going to have an interview with. So yeah, all that's in one video. So if it's kind of confusing, I just took two videos and I put them together. So like a s'more or a sandwich. Bologna sandwich. Let's get it started.
No, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Hold up. My boy, what kind of haircut are we rocking here? What is that? Is that a raindrop coming off your head? I don't get it. What are we doing here? What is it? Oh, we're getting a haircut today? Good. You better get a haircut today. That is bad. Wow. Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And we got a pretty good amount of stuff to talk about in today's video. So I'm excited to jump right into this. First off, we're going to start with the roster moves that the Lions have made. Let's just talk about that first. Let's get that figured out. First off, Jordan Ta'amu has been signed to the Detroit Lions practice squad. He had a visit with the Detroit Lions yesterday, actually his second visit with the Detroit Lions, and this isn't a very big surprise. Reason being, the last time he had a visit with the Lions is when Matthew Stafford was placed on the COVID list. So at that time, the Detroit Lions were working him out just to see, but with the whole timetable of Matthew Stafford, they're like, okay, if he keeps testing negative, he could actually play on Sunday, so we won't need to go sign this quarterback to the practice squad. But with an injury, you're not really sure if Stafford's going to be healthy or not. They're going to push it to the end of the week. So to sign Jordan Ta'amu to the practice squad kind of just makes sense, because that will mean that David Blah would be up on the active roster. He would be the backup. I'm assuming that Chase Daniel will be the backup. He has been every time Matthew Stafford's come out. So that would be, you know, the starter for next week, and David Blah would be behind him. And maybe, I guess they could switch it if things weren't going too well. But Jordan Ta'amu has been signed to the practice squad, and, you know, he's kind of just that move that way you have some quarterback on the practice squad. If Stafford can't play this Sunday, we don't know how long he's going to be out. I mean, technically, if he's out this week, it could be longer than that. You know, we're not sure. So to have Jordan Ta'amu on the practice squad gives him a young guy to look at, and you know, kind of just fills up that spot because David Blah will be up on the active roster. So we've done videos on Jordan Ta'amu, so I'll probably put that video in the comment section again, so you guys can go check that out. SEC quarterback. He played for the St. Louis Battlehawks, SEC for Ole Miss. He did pretty well there, actually, and he played for the St. Louis Battlehawks XFL team, which is the most recent stop he's been. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs for a very little bit, which is pretty interesting, but with the Battlehawks, he was a good quarterback, and now we have our own XFL quarterback, and the Panthers also have their XFL quarterback. Not a bad backup quarterback, so maybe that's what we'll get in Jordan Ta'amu. You know, he's a young quarterback. He's 6'3", 220. He's a little mobile. But the other guy Lions signed to the practice squad is Jordan Scarlett. Now, I'm kind of interested in Jordan Scarlett a little bit here. Kareth White, I think that's how you say his name. I think he's actually on practice squad injury reserve right now, and they have released Dawkins, the other running back. So there's a little bit of an opening there, and the Lions have signed Jordan Scarlett. Now, there's been some questions, you know, in his past about decisions made. But, you know, he's getting an opportunity here. He was a 5th-round draft pick last season by the Carolina Panthers. He has the potential. He just didn't get much of an opportunity with the Carolina Panthers. I'm kind of interested in this. I mean, right now we're completely healthy at running back, so you won't need a guy like this, but it happens quick. I mean, we saw last year, we went through tons of practice squad running backs, and right now we're looking at what Jordan Scarlett is, a young running back. That's a very tough runner. He's 5'11", 209 pounds. Tough runner, played in the SEC. You know, Lions are always interested in that, but he just runs very hard. I mean, he's a downhill runner. People say he loves getting in the weight room. That's kind of what he is. I mean, he's a little balanced. He can do a little bit of everything, but he's not super flashy. He's just a very tough runner. And I remember watching this guy back at Florida. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, hold up. I like to see that a little bit. But he has some agility. You know, he makes some plays in the open field. But it's really just he's a powerful downhill type of runner, and he'll run over a defender. I mean, he just doesn't care. That's the kind of toughness that the Lions get here. Now, the negatives, like I said in the past, he's had some issues with, you know, marijuana and credit card fraud. Maybe he's moved on from that, and he's learning from his mistakes. That came years ago. So I'm hoping he moved on from that, and, you know, that he's getting now a second opportunity, and, you know, he's learned from it. But when it comes to other negatives about him, you know, he's not a super flashy player. He didn't catch the ball a lot at Florida, so, you know, we didn't get to see a lot there. But I mean, I like it. You know, you give him a chance. His numbers weren't great when it comes to, you know, his agility score, like, you know, the 3-cone drill and things like that. So people weren't blown away. And they're like, whoa, look how fast, look how quick this guy is. And now he's with the Detroit Lions. And I'm interested, okay? I want to see maybe he gets some type of opportunity sometime in the future. Probably not. Maybe it's just a placeholder and he'll be here for 3 days and he'll be gone. I don't know, but I just wanted to touch on it. We'll see. I just remember Jordan Scarlett from college. And, yeah, I guess I'll leave it there. He was compared to Chris Ivory. That was his pro comparison. Chris Ivory, okay? Well, there you go. Lions have protected 4 guys: Dan Skipper, Kareem Martin, Albert Huggins, and Bobby Price. But there's some interesting things about these players that I really didn't realize until I read a good article about it. Dan Skipper. Now, Dan Skipper, as he has been protected on the practice squad, he has used up his eligibility to go from practice squad for game time. I guess you can only do that twice during the season. I feel like I've read that before, maybe in the beginning of the year, but I kind of forgot. You only can do that twice during the season. So now if the Lions want to have him on the field, they would have to sign him to the active roster before the game, which isn't too far out of the question. You know, we'll get the injury report later today, the first one, but depending on what Terrell Crosby's health looks like, and he's still a big V on injury reserve, it wouldn't be a huge surprise if he was signed to the active roster and the Lions made some room for him because he was up there last week. And it wouldn't be a huge shock if they did that. Bobby Price. Now, Bobby Price, yes, he's been in 2 games. He's been promoted for 2 games, but technically he hasn't used all his eligibility yet. Reason being is because last time when he was activated, I guess they said it was in place of Everson Griffin being placed on the COVID list. So because he was placed on the COVID list, Bobby Price's game doesn't actually count. So he could still be elevated again this week if he wanted to, which again is not out of the question because CJ Moore's health is kind of up in the air. Last 2 weeks, Bobby Price, 35 special team snaps, and with no CJ Moore, you expect him to, you know, get activated again. Now, if CJ Moore is there, maybe not. But that's been his main role with the Detroit Lions, not really on defense. Remember, on Saturday, Everson Griffin was placed on the COVID list right before the game, which meant we missed him for the game. So now the question will be, can he get back? Can the timetable work out where he can get back to play this weekend? Please, please, we really got to get this guy on the field. We need some pass rush help. We do. We need it big time. I would love to see Everson Griffin back up there. But if not, keep your eye out for Kareem Martin once again, the edge. Now, the interesting thing here is that Julian Okwara, he could return. Now, Julian Okwara, I guess, has been practicing for 2 weeks now. He's been practicing for 2 weeks, and we haven't heard about him. They could really at any point put him back on the active roster. Now, he's just a pass rusher. He's got a long way to go. There's a lot of things he has to learn. But honestly, at this point, maybe you get him out there for a few snaps, some pass rushing downs, and just see what he can do. You know, see what you got in this player a little bit. Maybe give him some opportunities if he's healthy enough for that. Also, Trey Flowers is another one of those guys that could potentially be returning at some point. So those are 2 names to keep an eye on. Hopefully, we can get some of those guys back. Give me Everson back. Give me Trey back. You know, give me Julian back. Just give me a couple of those. You know, at least one. Just give me at least one for this weekend's game. But those are the roster moves that the Detroit Lions have made. Now, Darrell Bevell talked this morning about Matthew Stafford, and obviously that's why I tuned in. I just want to see what he had to say. And this was the most interesting piece I took away from this interview, which I think you guys are going to want to hear, is that they said once again they're going to take it to the end of the week. I'm comfortable with him playing while not practicing. Now, that's big because we could go throughout this entire injury report and see no participation, no participation, no participation, and he could play on Sunday. He said he's comfortable with that. He's done it before. Last time he did that, he was on the COVID list. Remember, he didn't even come to the practice facility, all right? This guy was out the entire week. He had to stay away from everybody, and then I guess he flew privately to the game. Now, we lost that game, but he flew privately to the game, and he played. So Darrell Bevell knows that if I let him rest all week, if he's healthy enough to play and he tells me he's good enough to go, then we'll just play him. And you know what? He doesn't need practice. At this point in the season, everything being virtual, okay, look, here's our game plan, here's this, here's that. But look, I mean, you can practice throwing to your girls. I don't know. You can throw the ball at people outside. I don't know. Little kids at the park, just throw it at them. Like Peyton Manning. Oh, suck. Can he handle the pain and can he function with that pain? Because there's going to be pain. There's no question about it. When you hear what happened to him, that rib cartilage, and then it connects to the breastbone, it's like, what the heck is that? You know there's going to be pain. All right, there's pain from, you know, you cut your finger, you get a little paper cut, there's pain. All right? Now talk about your rib injury. Like, that's pain, okay? Especially when he was actually on his left side because he was walking like this if you watch the last game. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how that goes, but yeah, they're gonna push it down to the end of the week, so maybe that's good news, maybe it's not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's I think how it should be. I don't think he needs to practice to play. It's just whether or not he can get healthy by Sunday. Technically, since the Lions are still in the race, if he can get back on the field and he wants to play, I don't see any reason to hold him out. I mean, you're still technically in the race, and you gotta try. You gotta try. You might as well try. You're here. You might as well try. Why give up? Until I'm officially eliminated, I'm going after it. You know, that's how it's gonna happen. That's what Darrell Bevell's mindset is. That's his mindset, right? Let's go. He said, let's go. You're saying there's a chance. There is a chance. And yes, he probably did like the Dumb and Dumber movie. That is a great movie. How do people not like that movie? Come on, man. Sanders' message to the fan, he put this on Twitter. Not really sure what the context was here exactly, but he basically said this: "You guys have always been with me. Every win, every loss. I was at peace on the field. Happy holidays." That's kind of just a summary of what he said on Twitter. So, a good note there from Barry Sanders. We know he's going to be working as an advisor for the Detroit Lions. We talked about yesterday, Chris Spielman. He is going to be signed as a special assistant, for the Detroit Lions. He'll be the servant there. So we'll see how that works out, leaving Fox to do that. The Lions are going to interview another general manager candidate. And this candidate, someone we've already done a video on, that is Louis Riddick. We have some more Lions news about the GM search. I don't know why that was a song and dance. It was like one of them toys, that. Hey, robot, stop. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Louis Riddick a little bit in today's video. I want to stress this really heavy, all right, before we get this thing started, because I know there's going to be a lot of people talking about him. I've done a video on Louis Riddick where I broke down his pros and cons. I don't want to do that exact same video and upload it again because people will be like, this is the exact same video. So I will put the link in the top of the comment section. I will pin that link in the top of the comment section. So go to the comments, click that link, and go watch my pros and cons on Louis Riddick. That way I can get my full thoughts on Louis Riddick. But the Lions are going to be bringing him in for an interview, as well as the Houston Texans. Now, this does not mean the Lions are going to go out and hire Louis Riddick. They're also going to hold an interview with Rick Smith, and they said it would be about 6 weeks before, at least 6 weeks before they made any kind of major decision. But again, Louis Riddick is one of those guys that they can go interview, because a lot of the other guys out there, a lot of the other candidates are currently within another job. So they're dealing with their team right now. They're worried about that. Louis Riddick, Rick Smith, these are guys that, well, they're currently not in a job where they're currently not in a front office, so they have the opportunity to go interview with an NFL team, and that's exactly what the Lions are going to do here with Louis Riddick. But I'll give a few thoughts. This is kind of a quick little background, but again, I can't stress enough, there is already a video on it, okay? So if you guys want a full video on who Louis Riddick is, that video will be in the comment section, okay? Just throw that out there. Pros and cons, everything like that. It's in the comment section. But just a quick little background. So he's most notably known for the fact that he is on TV. He does Monday Night Football. You see him all the time. You watch Monday Night Football, I think they got Brian Greasy. They got some other dude on there. I can't think of his name with like gray hair. And then they got Louis Riddick. And, we saw him on Monday night when they were doing the Ravens and the Browns game. That's where everybody sees him. That's why that face continues to pop up. And I think that really helps him. But he has not been a general manager before. So if you're looking for experience, you're missing a little bit here. However, he does have experience in a few areas. He was a former safety in the NFL, which is nice. He played for multiple teams. He's been in multiple locker rooms. And he has also worked within a front office with the Washington, now football team was the Redskins, and also with the Philadelphia Eagles, which where he was most known, when he was worked with Philadelphia Eagles. And he went through some of the ranks there. He was never a general manager, however, before. And one of the biggest concerns that I have with him, he basically said that he was never in our draft rooms. He was never in that. I don't think he was there when he was with Washington either. So that's a big concern. It's really the experience factor for me. Now, he does have some experience, so it's not like a guy like Chris Spielman where he said of himself, I'm not qualified, as to, hey, I've never done any of this before. So this is completely new. And I think there's a couple of things that are actually going for him. The first thing is this, that he's been on TV. I think that helps you. I think it continues to get your face on TV. You keep seeing this guy. He keeps popping up and you keep hearing about him. I think that's big for him. Also, he's going to do a really good job, I think, handling, an interview, handling the media. I think that's something that he's going to rub off very well to outsiders because he does it all the time. He's always on TV, on camera. I think he's going to do a really good job of selling himself, which is a great trait to have. So I think that's big for him. Also, being a former player, we Lions have brought in Chris Spielman and Barry Sanders to help advise. They're also former players. That connection that they're going to have with a guy in Louis Riddick being a former player, I think it's going to be very beneficial to Louis Riddick and potentially getting a job as a general manager somewhere. Now, again, he hasn't had that job before. He's had a few interviews in the past, but he's never gotten the job as a general manager. So this could be his first chance. Again, the Lions have said they're looking for experience, but it's not a prerequisite. So it's not something you have to have, but it's definitely a factor because they can look at what you've done in the past. Now, he has worked through the ranks. Back in 2001, he started with Washington, and he worked there for a while. With Washington, he started as a pro scout. He became their director of pro personnel through 2007. Then he worked with Philadelphia. Again, this is where he was most known. Philadelphia, he started as a pro scout in 2008, and he became the assistant director of pro personnel in 2009, and he became the director of pro personnel from 2010 through 2013. So that is his experience. So he has experience in a lot of different places. I've worked with different teams. I've been a player. I've been on TV. So he's kind of touched everywhere. And recently we've seen, some, guys come from TV and become a general manager and have some success. You see John Lynch with the San Francisco 49ers. You see with Mike Mayock with the Raiders, you see a general manager there. So we've seen it happen. We've also seen some some instances where it didn't work out so much. I'm sure you guys know about some of those. But I think there's definitely some pros and cons here. It just depends on how much you want to know about experience. But it's difficult because there's just not a lot here. I think it's definitely one of those shots where you're taking not a shot in the dark, but it's pretty dull. It's pretty dark in there. You don't have that brightness turned very much up. It's just kind of difficult to see what we're looking at here. He is a very classy guy, I would say. He's an intelligent person, and he sells himself very well. And I think that's important, is that he's going to be really good for the media. We talk about, what he would bring to Detroit. Just a few little notes. Again, I got a full video on this, but just a few things. One thing is he supported Eric Bieniemy on Twitter. He's very outspoken on Twitter. I don't know how he would be as a general manager, how loud he would be. I'm sure he'd be pretty loud all over Twitter. And, he supported Eric Bieniemy. He supported some things that, you look back on, you're like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best thing to support. Dwayne Haskins, he was a big Haskins guy, and that really just hasn't really worked out with Washington. But obviously, everybody does that kind of thing. I'm on here, I'll say things, and then it'll turn out it's not right. And I'm like, oh, dang, that's tough. But sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. That's just the beauty of being on media, right? And on social media and saying things all the time, is that some things work out and some things don't. But what does he look for? Well, he looks for guys like this. This is how he bases guys he looks for in order of factors. Number 1, intelligence. 2, adaptability, which versatility. We all know about that. Also, citizenship and personality. So a lot of off-the-field traits, a lot of, smarts, intelligence, things like that. Not necessarily just what you can do on the field, which is a different approach. Not everybody takes that approach. I feel like that was some of the Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia approach for sure, but not everybody takes that. We've heard guys that just say, well, it's strictly talent. First and foremost, how talented is the guy? So he takes a different approach. It's more about the character of the person, which I think is a fine thing to do. You got the character there. You have on our team that can help with the locker room. And I just think this is really going to help him with Chris Spielman and Barry Sanders being there, is that he was a former player. I know what the Lions are looking for here, and I think he'll do a really good job of selling himself. Is he my cup of tea? Not completely. I'm not a really big tea guy, though, so I guess it's not really fair to say that. You see, what really hurts the tea is the fact that there's, hot chocolate out there, and oh gosh, that's at the top of the list. And then you got yourself some apple cider, and man, warm apple cider? Okay, hold me back. I'm not sure where we're going with this, but he's definitely not at the top of my list. I understand the perks here, and I think it's a very, one of those moves where I could see it being like, all right, this could be exciting. Like, it's exciting. It's definitely experimental, though. I don't exactly know what I'm getting here, and again, I can't interview him, so I really don't know what I'm getting here. I tried to message him on Twitter, but I can't. I was like, hey, you want to do a live stream or something, Couldn't message him. We've seen up to this point the Lions have been tied to all guys that have experience as a general manager. Now you're seeing them get interested in guys that, well, haven't been. And that first one is Louis Riddick. And, I think that's, maybe some of the Lions will take into account. Okay, here's the guys that have been a GM. Here's the guys that haven't been. What were the differences in an interview, right? What were the differences in their answers? He seems like the kind of guy that's, going to have a certain coach that, he's going to go after a certain guy. He knows the kind of coach. And I think Eric Bieniemy would be the front runner if he was our general manager and Bevel wasn't our coach. Eric Bieniemy, to me, would be the front runner. I think he could work with Darrell Bevel, knowing that he's never been a GM before. I think he would be fine to work with a guy like Darrell Bevel because, it'd be his first time as well. So I think he'd be willing to do it. Here's one of the biggest things, because I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan, but he's a Matthew Stafford fan as well, and that could also, play a big role here in him getting possibly the Lions general manager job, because he's a big Matthew Stafford fan. And to me, that's the biggest pro I take away from this, because I'm a Matthew Stafford fan myself. But, he always supports Matthew Stafford. He's behind Matthew, saying things like he just needs help. It's, not Matthew Stafford is letting down the Lions. It's the players around the Lions that are letting down the Lions, that kind of thing. It's not Matthew Stafford, it's the other guys around him. The most interesting things that he always brings up when he talks about the Lions is, the talent that they've lost, guys that they haven't been able to acquire, talent that they've had and, have been gone. We've seen it with Ndamukong Suh. We've seen it with Slade when they traded him away, but that was kind of a locker room issue. But we've seen it, right? We've had talent, and, they haven't stayed for a very long time. Quandre Diggs, he brings up him as well. But you see that now with Kenny Golladay. Is Golladay going to be the next guy that the Lions lose out on that was a huge talent, but they didn't pay him? It depends on where his focus is going to be. What position of the groups would he focus on most? But I could see if, you had a guy like this, him trying to bring back Kenny Golladay, because he's all about retaining the talent. He wants guys with high character. That's what he looks for. He's all about one-on-ones with the players well, so I'm sure you get to know him as soon as he came in the building. But that would be a type of guy that you could see him try to retain that talent. He already knows it's here. He doesn't want to take the shot of risking him or losing him, so maybe he'd pay a guy like Kenny opinion. Now, I don't know how big he is on wide receivers, but I know that he thinks the Lions need to find a way to retain talent and build around Matthew Stafford to build a nice culture here. So, that on its own, makes me like him a little bit, I ain't gonna lie. But that's Louis Riddick. Just in a nutshell, that's who he is. And again, we can talk about this for a while. And that's why I had the pros and cons video. If you guys want more detail than that, Lions will bring him in for an interview. This will be another GM interview outside the house, the second one outside of the house, I think, that they're gonna do. And I'll keep you guys updated. So let me know. Give me a grade. How do you guys feel about him? But we did this video again. So I just want to keep pushing that because I know people are going to have all these questions, things. I have a full video, pros and cons on him. And it's pretty easy to find, to be honest with you. It's pretty easy to find. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.